And be glad in it, Lord God. We thank you for life. Father, we thank you for life, Lord God. Another day to be here, Father God. Another day, Father God, to do what it is that you called us to do, Lord God. We thank you, Father God. We ask that you would bring your presence into this place, Lord God. Father, touch your people, Lord God. Go before me, Father God. Speak through me, Lord God. Open the hearts, the minds, the ears, Father God, of your people, Father, so they hear what you have to say, Lord God. Allow me to decrease, Lord, that you may increase, Father God. Encourage your heart on this day, Father. We thank you, Father God. We give you all glory, honor, and praise, Lord God. And we shout, hallelujah. 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 There's no one greater, Lord. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Sorry, Pastor, if I could just stay in that song.
Hallelujah.
And you think about the words to that song, and you compare it to your weeks and what you go through on a daily basis, and the things that you face and the people that you have to go up against, and then you remember that there's nobody greater. Nobody! Whether it's he that is in you and he that is in the world. And then you remember, God, I can do this because I have you and there's nobody greater than you. Nobody. If I can just request that we play that song at the end, Pastor Rudolph.
That's all good. Go ahead.
I told my mom that I would let you know that I would be before you long. I know that I'm long-winded.
All right.
But I just give honor to my pastors, and I thank you for this opportunity once again. I salute all the mothers in here. My mommy's back there, y'all, in the yellow cardigan. Happy Mother's Day to the mother figures. So I was asked to speak on this day, and I thank you again, Pastor Will, because this is an honor to me. Even getting together the message to speak on today, I just felt so many emotions. Because if y'all don't know, I love my mother, and I'm always with her. And so I began to think, what is a mother? And I aspire to be one day. And, I think, what is a mother? And I went to look it up because I wanted to look for the general term of what is a mother. According to Webster's Dictionary, a mother as a noun is a female parent, a woman in authority, specifically the superior of a religious community of women, an older elderly woman. My grandmother was Mother Free, Mother Hicks. A maternal tenderness of affection. And a mother as a verb is to give birth to give rise to, or raise, to care for or protect like a mother. And that's why I say mother figures, because I know that, you know, although we all came from a woman, we were birthed, you know, maybe we didn't grow up with our mother. Maybe we lost our mother at an early age. Maybe we never knew who our mother was because we were given away. And so they're our mother figures. And examples of mother figures are aunts, grandmothers, big sisters, stepmoms, adopted moms, and I even threw in there teachers. And once again, I'm not a mother biologically, but being a teacher, and I know that teachers can attest to this, the women, you have to be a mother. Some of these children, and being in early childhood especially, and I have 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds turning 5 years old, and some of them are in the system. Some of them don't know their mothers. You know, all those things that I explained where mother figures are needed, and I'm wiping noses. And I'm teaching how to tie shoes, and helping put on jackets, and making sure they eat, and making sure that they're clean, and, you know, especially for the day that they're in my classroom. You know, I don't want them to walk around looking like anything, and they're representing me. When growing up, and I'm skipping ahead of myself, but growing up, you know, when leaving my mom's house, every shoe was tied, every braid was snatched in place. Every outfit was pressed.
Amen.
Pressed so much that I've run away from the iron. Pressed, and I mean creases, crispy. It's not right, do it again. Iron that. Because you are a representation of your mother, your parents, but of your mother. You know, those stockings. Turn the line at your feet. Don't have it coming up the side, and put your slip on, and all those things. And I throw my grandmother in there too, because we lived with her on many occasions, and so she was always around. My grandma was that mother figure as well. And so I'm gonna speak on a mother's love, and I will again reference my grandmother as well. In addition to my mom, just speaking from my experience. Songs of Solomon 6 and 8 says, "There is no one like her on earth. Never has been, never will be." And that's coming from the Message version. And that's so true. You know, and I know that, you know, God, we don't choose our family. We don't choose who our moms are. But at the same time, you know, it's a blessing for me to be able to call her my mother. And when I think of, you know, when you're young and you have to write M-O-T-H-E-R down the line, and you got to write some words that describe your mom, and I think about the adjectives that describe my mother and my grandmother, and I think of warrior, I think of superwoman, I think of queen. And I actually took the time to look those words up. A queen is someone who's highly respected. A queen is also, if you play chess, the most powerful piece in the game. A queen is beautiful, powerful, resilient. A warrior is a person who, beyond all obstacles, still manages to be successful. They often face troubles in life, but still persevere in the end. Superwoman. A woman who copes successfully with the simultaneous demands of motherhood, career, marriage, anything else that you want to throw in there, and you still see a woman standing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And although they are not superhuman, but they are superwomen. An exceptional woman, a strong woman. So a mother's love, how do mothers show love? Well, they show love in many different ways. Spiritual. Proverbs 22 and 6 says, "Train up a child in the way that they should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." When we were young, we were taught how to say our bedtime prayers, how to pray over your food. God is good, God is great, thank you for this food today, amen. And for us, we love it because it was short, so you can get to the food faster. But sometimes And this is so important. Sometimes we'd be so greedy that we would start eating before we prayed. And my mom would be like, did you pray? And we'd be like, go. You know, we try to hurry and get the prayer out. But praying over your food, and you think about it here in the house, right? My mom's not going to poison me, right? But training, that's training. When you go out, you don't know everybody's mom. You don't know what happens, you know, in the kitchen, in the restaurant, things like that. And so you learn to pray over your food. And you also learn to be thankful for the food that you have. Giving thanks and praying. Prayer before bed.
Amen.
We used to have to pray, you know, say our bedtime prayers, and, you know, she never checked on us. We got it so much so that I'd be in the bed sometimes and I forget to pray, and then I crawl back out of bed, and I'm just like, now I lay me down to sleep. But, you know, just keeping that in your mind, it was such a training that I almost felt guilty for being in the bed and I hadn't talked to God before I went to sleep. That training. And as I said, going to church. And yes, my grandmother held church in her house, which to me is such an honor to be a part of that legacy. But going to church, getting up, getting ready, going to church, knowing what to do, stand up, give thanks, clap your hands. If my grandma caught us sitting, pinch, get up. You know, that training was there. Proverbs 31:30 says, charm can mislead and beauty soon fades. The woman to be admired and praised is a woman who lives in the fear of God. You know, and I can thankfully say that, you know, my mom is here in the house of God. My grandmother, she went nowhere else. She went to church. That training, they were and are models of what I aspire to be. And examples of what I aspire to teach my children one day. Another way that mothers show their love, being a provider. My mom is a single mother of 5. My grandmother was a single mother of 7. Try raising 1. And being a single mother, there is strength, there is honor in that. That she didn't abandon that responsibility. And we are not here, there, and everywhere and scattered. And yes, although we are all adults now, almost Ahmad, you know, now we may move and live in various places, but she kept us. We grew up in the household with her. To me, that is a blessing. And growing up, you know, we didn't have it all. We struggled. We struggled. You know, Pastor Malloy, I know you, Pastor Rudolph say sometimes, you know, we didn't know what it was like back in the day. I know what it was like. And I'm not, and I'm still young, but I know what it's like to eat what you have.
That's right.
And you get what you get and you don't get upset. Or you go to bed hungry. You know, and I'm not ashamed of that. Because that taught me humility. That taught me to be thankful for what I have. That taught me to not look at material possessions because they don't matter. I know what it's like to lose everything, and therefore be thankful for the things that I do have because it can be gone in an instant.
Amen.
You know, and growing up, we struggled inwardly, you know, in the house. But we can walk outside, and I know, my sister's here today, Davina. But I know we would talk about, you know, in being in school, and, you know, we knew what we went through, but our friends could never tell until we told the story of losing everything. And they're like, what? When? That time? I was around for that time. What? Are you serious? You lost everything? Everything. But still, it wasn't a matter of being too prideful to tell people what we were going through. It was a matter of not walking around looking like your situation.
That's right. That's right.
And so the people on the inside, we knew, but at the end of the day, Pastor Rudolph talked about names last week. Jehovah Jireh, God was our provider.
Yes.
Still is our provider. So we knew that at the end of the day, we may not have everything we want, but we have everything we need.
Yes.
And now we know not to want for anything. Oh, it'll come. And if it doesn't come, it's okay. God will bless us anyway. Or Or if it goes, God will bless us with better. Having that mindset is so important. I would rather that than to have grown up with a silver spoon in my mouth. And this is not to slight anybody who maybe you didn't struggle in that way, but that teaches you to be humble. That teaches you to be humble, to not take for granted anything, to not look at people who have less than even you, because you know what it's like. That was love as a provider. And my mom didn't always have to say, well, we don't have this and we don't have that, but make sure you stick your chest out and you walk with your head held high. No, we just knew to do it kind of subconsciously, because that was the way we saw our mother do it. That was the way we saw our grandmother do it. Not walking around like, woe is me. And, oh, what's wrong with you? Well, I didn't get those pair of shoes that I wanted. What? No. That, to have that mindset. So just to be humble. Zechariah 4:10 says, does anyone dare despise the day of small beginnings? I'm so grateful. And while you're in it, it's hard. It's not easy growing up and you want what your friends have, or you want I never really cared about the latest. I think I was always behind the trend. But, just wanting things for yourself. You wanted those things, and sometimes it was like, you felt a little bit like, oh, so-and-so's over here bragging about their 5 million trips to all these places. Meanwhile, I've never been out the country, but it's okay. Yeah. It's okay, because I know I'll get there. I know that God will bless me with the ability to be able to do that. And then I can tell my children, no, we didn't always do that, but here is now we have the ability to do that. Psalms 37:25 said, I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor their children begging bread. So what was there to worry about? At the end of the day, what is there to really be concerned about? Because God has our back. Yes. God is not going to forsake us. Yes. And yes, small beginnings, but this too shall pass. Mm-hmm. Trouble don't last always. Right. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. We have the scriptures to hold on to and to stand by in those hard times. Amen. A mother's love as a protector. Have you ever seen a mother bear be defensive over her cubs? Now, the largest bear, Reuben's shaking his head no. Reuben, just imagine, you have a huge bear, a huge mama bear, and somebody is trying to attack, touch, do something to her cubs. And the roar that comes through, the swiping that comes through, well, let me introduce you to Mama Bear. My mother, to this day, will go to war for me. And I know my siblings can attest. When we were younger, we loved to say, well, my mama said, or I'll just go get my mom. And everybody that we grew up with knew who our mother was. And I still try to slide it in there here and there, but I know it doesn't really work anymore. And talking to my mom, I tell her almost everything, and so I tell her about, what goes on at work, and when I was a teacher and what that was like at that job, or what was going on in college, and my mom would want to drive up there and be there and approach whoever it was that was saying something or doing something, and I'm just like, Mom, you can't show up at my job. And, even now being a director, imagine my mom showing up and stepping to whoever had something to say to me. Although it would be awesome for me to stand there and watch, like, yeah. See, I told you, but that protection, that protector, you don't mess with their children. You don't mess with mom. And they can be the sweetest little thing on the outside, but let something happen to their child. Let them get a phone call about somebody's messing with their child, or somebody said something to their child. Then you see a whole different side of that pretty sweet woman. My mom was and is that one person who is always in my corner, no matter what. No matter what. Always in my corner. And the last thing I want to talk about is a mother's love as a disciplinarian. That's love? Disciplinarian? That is love? What? And when you're going through it, you walk away like she don't love you. You know, or you well, the Bible says God chastens those that he loves. So if your mother didn't love you, she wouldn't waste her time yelling at you. She wouldn't waste her time yelling at you if she didn't love you. Who wants to yell for their help? You know, if your mother didn't love you, she wouldn't come at you and correct you when you needed correction. You know, they say people really get upset about something in relationships, whether it be friendship or intimate relationships or relationship between a family member. You know, people really only get upset because they care. Because if they stop caring, they just be like, okay. People fight about things that they care about.
That's right.
So when you're being disciplined, it's actually, don't get it twisted, it's actually not because your mom doesn't love you, it is because she loves you.
Yeah.
Hebrews 12:10b says, God disciplines us for our good in order that we may share in his holiness. The Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child. That rod was not spared in my family. It was not spared in my household, and therefore this child is not spoiled. You talk about representation. My mom never got a report from school that Brittany was being disrespectful. Never had somebody walk up to the house from the block or the neighborhood saying, excuse me, is this your child? Because they were outside, bleep, bleep, this, that, ABC. Never. Because there was fear, healthy fear in the household. I refuse to let somebody walk up to the... It'd be worse. It'd be worse than them actually telling on me. What happens afterward would be worse. But I'm still here today, thank God. I'm still good. That's love. And to this day, I know how to be now an adult in the workplace and act like I got some sense. Because I know you see adults who maybe didn't get enough home training, and you look at them like, I wish my mom would. Walk up in a school, at a sporting event, at my job, and see me acting like I lost my mind. That's representation right there. And even though I'm grown, yes, if I get in trouble, they're not going to her. But at the same time, they're probably thinking, who is her mother? Who is her mother? Or I wonder what her mother would say if she saw this and that. If she saw what they just did or how they were just acting. Keep that in mind. Representation. You are a direct representation of your mother. Yes, fathers too. But it's Mother's Day. Exodus 21:15 and 17 says, if someone hits their mother, verse 15, I'll skip over 16 and then go to verse 17. If someone hits their mother, the penalty is death. If someone curses their mother, the penalty is death. Can you imagine if we still lived under the law? How many funerals there were? Can you imagine that nobody... How many people wouldn't make it past like the age of 10 today? 10. And I mean 10 because when you go up in an elementary school, and I'm talking 3rd graders, 4th graders, 5th graders, people wouldn't make it past 10. Hit your mother? I wish I would have even thought. But my brain doesn't compute such nonsense. And she probably would have heard my thoughts, and that would have been the end of me anyway. And this is what the Bible says. If anyone curses their mother, you came from a woman. She birthed you.
Tell it.
It doesn't matter what happens. She's human. And that's why I said superwoman and not superhero, superhuman, because she's still human.
That's right.
Though she does super awesome things, she's still human.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, you only get one, and when she's gone, you don't have another.
That's right. That's
And
right.
yes, there are spiritual mothers. I call Pastor Rudolph my spiritual mother. But at the end of the day, your mother is your mother.
That's
Even
right.
if you don't see eye to eye, your mother is your mother.
That's it.
That title won't ever be lifted off because of the definition of what a mother is.
There you go.
Your aunt, if she has assumed the duties. Your grandmother, your big sister, because you know sometimes life happens and they have to step in and take responsibility, and therefore it's like, how dare you, I've raised you.
Mm.
And yes, we all fall short, but at the end of the day, you have to remember, you only get one, and why live with the regrets of never having treated your mother right after she's gone when you can do it while she's still here?
That's it. There you go.
Amen.
So, I just want to talk a little bit about getting along with your mother.
Amen.
Keep it real.
I'm a daughter, so yeah, mothers aren't perfect. And I had to learn, and still am learning, not to look at my mother's overall performance as a mother. You know, how dare I give her a grade? Because though I'm not a mother, and yes, I've had to take on many mother figure roles, I'm still not a mother. And so there's no rubric that says mothers have to do A, B, C, D, E, and F in order to qualify to be a mother. She did the best she could with what she knew.
There you go.
And as long as she's always been in my corner, that's something to be thankful for. My grandmother as well. You know, I can look back and say, well, you never did this, and you never did that, and you didn't do this, and you didn't do that. And on Sunday mornings, we listen to Joel Osteen while we're getting ready, and he said one Sunday, not to complain about the things that you didn't get, because you didn't need it. Because if you stop and think about it, look at where you are today.
Yes.
You wouldn't have made it if there were things that you needed that you didn't get. So if you didn't get it, there's no use crying over spilled milk, right?
Wow.
There's no use being in that and thinking about all those things, especially while your mother is still here. As long as your mom is still here and there is still time to work through all those things. So I thought about, you know, how when the pastors are up here and they reference different songs, that I'm like, who? Or sometimes I'm just, oh, I didn't hear, and I'm an old soul, I'm an old soul, so I know, you know, some of the songs, but then sometimes I'm like, who, and you want to phrase it? And so I was thinking about Mom, and I was like, do I reference Tupac? Do I reference Tupac in it? Because he's my generation, do I? Well, he had a song called Dear Mama.
Yes, he did.
And he was such a poet, and throughout the song he talks about how he gave his mom such a hard time. He talked about how they were poor and how they didn't have everything. His mom was a drug addict. But even in the song, he still calls her a black queen. He still tells her how he appreciates her and how he holds no one above her. That was his mom. So regardless of anything that they had gone through, anything that she had done, how dare we hold up our mother's sins over her head? That's not our job.
That's right. That's right.
That's not our job to sit there and hold the sins and say, well, until you get this right, Mom, you know, I can't really be that cool with you. What happened to your sins?
Hello. Wow.
The throwing stones, as Pastor Rudolph says.
Yeah.
Understanding differences. My mom and I, we are two different people. I do have qualities of hers, but we are two different people. Sometimes it's like this. We are two different people, but the important thing is to recognize the differences.
That's right.
But just because we are two different people and may have different opinions on different circumstances doesn't mean that I turn away because I feel like, well, she just doesn't understand me. She just won't ever understand me. You know, you don't turn away for that reason. You just recognize that you're different. You agree to disagree.
There you go.
It's okay. Because what two people are the same? Not even twins. And the older you get, the more you understand that you will have different opinions on the matter. But that should never separate you. Thinking about growing up, and God has always placed different women in my life, whether I was in college or even at my workplace now, in church, always placed different women in my life. Most of these women were mothers, or are mothers. And I think about the different examples, and I think about, you know, these women, and it's like, oh, I'm so grateful for you, or to have you. This one, my assistant director, she is old enough to be my mother, and she is that figure at work. And even that's a blessing to have, because as young as I am, trying to run a school, still needing that wisdom and that advice from somebody who's older, to have that there in the workplace. And so I think about it, and you know, I wouldn't trade any of those people for my mom. I wouldn't trade any of those people for my mom. You know, sometimes when you're young, you're like, why can't you just be the mom that, let me just mold you. Why can't you just be the mom that I want you to be? Or, you know, why can't you just think like how I think? Or, you know, like we get so frustrated because we feel like our moms don't understand us. You can't, your mom is your mom. You can't mold her into who you want her to be, into who you think she should be according to your situation at any given time. It doesn't work that way. Pastor Rudolph was saying, you know, last week, don't get stuck. Don't get stuck. Make a decision that you won't get stuck in the things that you feel that you were or are lacking from your mother. Especially if she isn't here. You're holding on to all those things that my mama never gave me, and my mama never did this, and my mama never said that. Yes, I could sit there and I could say those things too. But okay. Okay, there it is. What happens next? Do you stay stuck in that? Do you keep playing that over and over in your mind to help you get where? How much are you really living if you're stuck in all the things that you never had or never did or never got? Maybe you can use those things as an example of what not to do, because mothers aren't perfect. And so even if the mom, so let's say your mother is still here and you know there are things that you desire. Talk to them. Talk to them while you still have time. Going further away doesn't help your situation if you haven't tried to get it right. Now yes, you are one person in the matter, so you can only do what you can. But at the end of the day, you know, if God is pleased and you did your part, then fine. But if you're just sitting here complaining or deciding, I'm never going back home, or I'm never going to speak to them again, or I'm never going to do this and that for them, you're not even doing anything. You're just complaining. While they're still here, take the time to communicate and talk to your mom and say, well, this is how I feel. And don't stone me, but this is for the mothers. You know, it's one thing to say, as I said, you don't choose your families and you don't choose how you were raised. But it's one thing to tell your children that, well, I can't give it because it's something that I never got. So, to me, I feel, right, you know, maybe it was something that you never got before. So you don't know how to give that. That's understandable. But as long as there is a God, there is change. that can be made.
Yes. Yes.
You know, as a daughter, you know, bear with us, your daughters. Bear with your sons. And even if you feel like, well, I can't give this because I never got it, how long until it becomes an excuse? How long until you don't feel like, well, you don't want to put the effort into it? Every day is a new day. Grace and mercies are new every day. And so, you know, for your children, being able to be honest, you know, I'm a child. You know, I would love it to have the opportunity to sit down, and I know we had our women's meeting, and just being honest, your child wants somebody that they can relate to. And who better to relate to than somebody out on the street? You know, who better to hear those stories, those real stories of what went down, and no, you don't have to give A through Z, but, you know, to be able to relate to you and say, well, here's how I got through this. Or I understand what you're going through, right? Because everybody grew up and everybody went through the difficulties of being young. And that and the emotions of a woman on top of it. Right? Remember back then? Remember if you could just remember that? But as I said, it was and is an honor to be able to brag about my mother while she's still here. And to be able to think back on the awesome woman that my grandmother was. The awesome woman that my grandmother was. And her birthday was on this past Friday, and it always would fall close to or on Mother's Day. But I had made a post about her because I was thinking about the rough 2 weeks that I had, and I just, in remembering her birthday and honoring her on her birthday, just thought about no matter what she went through, no matter what she went through, she prayed. She prayed, she prayed, she prayed so much that she got an award for praying. She prayed, she prayed, she prayed through it. She was a warrior. You would have never known unless you sat down to hear her life story, all the things that she went through, all the things that she had to get over, and raising 7 children in the process by herself. The same with my mother. You know, when you get selfish, and I'm talking to the children now, including myself and the children if your mom is still here, when you get selfish and you think about, oh, well, I don't feel like talking to her for 2 weeks. You're not hurting her. Because then you have to come crawling back. And Mom, I got in trouble. I need your help. But hold up. You weren't talking to her 2 weeks ago. You told her you didn't need her. Be careful what you say. You know, when you're in your feelings, take a moment to stop and self-reflect and to put things into perspective. Life's not fair. We don't always get things our way.
Amen.
God is still God at the end of the day.
That's right.
You know, whatever you're going through, He will see you through it. And if you don't have a mother or never knew your mother, God can do that for you. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. That's unconditional right there. God, not no one else, can fill that void of the loss of a mother, of not having a mother and yearning for a mother. And yes, there are single fathers, and yes, children grow up in a house with just a dad, but fathers cannot be mothers, and mothers cannot be fathers. They just can't. So if you have your mom here, honor her. The Bible says, honor your mother and your father.
There you go.
That your days may be long.
That's it.
Yes.
That's the
If we
one.
know this so much, put that to work. You don't have to complain about, I don't have this much to give and I don't have that much to give, and my sister gave $10,000 and I only have $1. Give it. give it. If it comes from you and it comes from the heart, give it. Call your mother. Talk to your mother. You don't want to live with the regret. God forbid she leaves the earth.
Yeah.
So, Mom, I know you've been in the spotlight, but can you stand for a second? Please, love you. And we didn't get to attend yesterday's event for the moms, but I want to publicly thank you for everything. Without you, I don't know where I would have been. Only having one parent, thank you. I will love you forever, and I hope that I made you proud. I love you, and happy Mother's Day.